And welcome back to another episode of Farewell Evangelion. My name is Keith, who is going through the series for his last time, and as always, I am joined by Peter.
Hello!
Who is going through for his first. Today, we ended up watching the first of the rebuild movies, Evangelion 1.0, You Are Not Alone. After the second impact, Tokyo 3 is being attacked by giant creatures called angels that seek to eradicate humankind. The child, Shinji's objective is to fight the angels and piloting one of the mysterious Evangelion mecha units. This was first released September 30th, 2009. So how do you think your prediction went?
Well, sorry. For those of you who couldn't tell, because Keith might have clipped it out because it sounded horribly, I just screamed into my hands because I feel a lot right now.
Well, I think I can easily summarize both of our sides of this here, and that is, you are not, in brackets, making me do this again.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Alright, so right off the bat, my prediction is not explicitly wrong, but what I internally predicted and how I imagined this going out is very much so wrong so far. So for instance, one of the things I predicted is by the end of the first movie in the rebuild series, we'd make it to roughly the fifth angel. And halfway through the first movie, we've made it to the fifth angel, but the fifth angel we made it to is what I interpreted to be the fourth angel, Sam Shaw.
I can see why you'd think that. And also, just to clarify as well, we watched halfway through to the title card of the first movie, so the next episode will obviously be the second half, just to make things a bit more manageable, of cramming, almost 2-hour movie down to 30-minute, 40-minute podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was definitely a few points through this this movie, I should say, where I looked over and I saw a weird look for you, because it opens up with, the white beach with the red ocean, and you're like, okay, I recognize this, and then it wasn't what you thought it was.
No. Okay. Let's go
through the episode.
Real quick, I had two interpretations of what this could be. Is either this picks up where the end of Evangelion left off, and it's rebuilding society, thus the name, in the wake of human instrumentality and people slowly walking out of the Sea of LCL. And so, white sandy beaches, red ocean, people slowly coming back, building society. Other interpretation that I kind of predicted was Otto was just like, fuck it, you guys didn't figure it out from 2 times going through the store. We're going through a 3rd time, getting real insular in this bitch, making sure you pick up on the key details. Both kind of right, neither one exactly right, because we're going back through for a 3rd time and everything's fresh again, except it's not the same, it's different, and I don't like that.
Getting a real boomer mentality here.
You're not allowed to change things on me. So, right off the bat, all the water in the world is now red, from what I can tell. But also, no one seems to be calling attention to it. So everyone seems to just accept that water is red in this world.
Yeah, that's a safe assumption to make, which is one of the first contradictions to the original run where the water was blue.
Yeah, to the point where it's not just the ocean water. Also, when they're taking baths later on in the episode/movie, they're bathing in red water as well, from what I can tell. So yeah, just water's red now. That is what water is. Also, I could be mistaken. I feel like when we watched the original anime series and they had the Evangelions cooling, they were still cooling in red liquid. They weren't cooling in water. So that part hasn't changed. They're still cooling in red liquid, but for all I know, it's just normal-ass water like everything else, because that's definitely water up there, that's for sure. Another key difference is while they're panning over all this red water, we see a giant, chalk oak line, like you would see where someone fell to their death from a building, except it's on top of the water, from what I can tell.
No, it was on a hill that was dyed red, and it was T-posing.
Yes. So, potentially that's a marking around where Adam fucking died, but also, I know of another giant being that I believe fell back, arms outstretched, and died collapsing into the ground, and that wasn't Adam. That was fucking Mega Ray from the end of fucking Farewell Evangelion. End of Evangelion.
No, she didn't T-pose. She kind of just fell apart and ripped. Things that we saw last T-posing as they were destroyed was the mass production Avas and Unit 1.
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you so much.
I'm just saying, like, if you're going to compare it to something, at least those are the only T-posing
You're
things
right.
we had.
I was mistaken. It wasn't Ray who T-posed. It was... I don't think it would have been Unit 1, because I feel like we also saw Unit 1 T-pose, but also
into
fly
space.
off into space, not fall to the ground, so... Maybe it was just Adam from the first impact. Maybe that's what happened.
I mean, well, Adam was the first impact.
Adam
was the second. Yeah.
Second impact. First impact was Lilith in the Black Egg / Black Moon / whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah, either one works.
All right, so fuck.
And for the most part, what we watched is everything up to the end of episode 4, really.
Yeah. They weren't referring to Satchel as the fourth angel, though. They were referring to him as the third angel when we were watching that. And the first ones were Adam and Lilith, and then the third was Satchel. Now we got Satchel's the fourth angel, and so there's a secret third angel that happened somewhere before. And, like, yes, as we discussed when we were talking about our lore recently, all the angels came into existence at the same time. So if you want to number them that way, that's fine. Sure, one of them existed before Satchel. What the fuck one's before Satchel in this numbering?
So I will clarify this here for you, even though we're not at the questions for Keith section yet. The numbers are, I guess, in one sense, arbitrary, as they're assigned in order of contact.
Okay.
So thinking of the angels purely as their number is probably the wrong way to go about it. But at the same time, the angels in this one don't have official name designations. They're just fifth angel.
Yeah. No, but see, that's still a problem. Because that still means that there was contact with an angel beforehand. The only angel I can think of that they would have had contact with, that they're willing to acknowledge as an angel, on NERV, not on NERV side, but on Ciele's side, not so much on NERV side, is if fucking Kaoru has already, like, been labeled the third angel at this point.
Well, you have to wait and see.
No, I won't. Kaoru's the third angel. I'm declaring it now. Alright, so fucking very much so follows the original plot of the 4 episodes, as we said. They cut out some minor details, like, for instance, when Shinji goes off on his run away from home from NERV because he's sad after killing the second angel. He doesn't end up running into Kensuke and talking about the military and about how Kensuke doesn't really have parents who love him.
I think you mean alive.
And can't love someone if they're dead, Keith.
They might. We saw very well at the end of Evangelion, the souls were still around.
You're right. So he does.
And considering he was going to be a pilot candidate, we can confirm his mother's soul probably still loved him in some capacity.
Yeah. In fact, yeah, we can fully, based on the fact that he is a potential candidate, his mother, who is dead, does still love him because her soul is in some sort of, like, orb or something that's holding her soul to implant into a fucking Evangelion if they need to.
Yeah, the cores.
Yeah. That is a good point. I had not considered that. So yes, Kensuke tells a story about how he has parents who aren't alive, but who still love him very much and are willing to help him control a giant robot to kill people if need be. But that scene didn't happen this time around.
Yeah.
They're a lot more forthright with their information this time around. Like, they make reference to the Tree of Life and the Tree of Knowledge and all that stuff.
And Lilith.
Yeah, and Lilith. So they're not hiding as many secrets. I assume the assumption there is there's no point in being secretive about this information this time around because presumably everyone watching this watched the original anime or at least has access to the information from the anime, so they don't need to keep those reveals as a secret. So there's some other twist reveal that's going to happen. Probably like a third moon. If I had to guess, I mean, there already is a third moon, our moon, which is neither white nor black, just the moon.
I mean, the first ancestral race did send multiple moons out, but they were never supposed to be on the same planet.
Yeah. Fuck, I'm very paranoid right now. I don't like it.
It's like when you started the series the first time.
Yeah, it's like I'm starting all over again. Oh, fuck. Alright, so yes. I am ever so slightly frustrated with starting the series over again for the first time, because we have to deal with little bitch Shinji all over again, and I had just gotten used to, like, even if Shinji...
But he's not as little bitch as he was.
He is a little bit more willing to accept his lot in life.
Because, like, he pretty much, like, shit-talks Gendo to his face, but also the elevator scene, which is in the hospital, plays it a bit different, where in that one he just kind of awkwardly looked at him, and this one he, like, looks away in disgust.
Yeah.
Also, another thing I'll mention, just because we're on that topic, in the original run, they were separated for 10 years, and in this one, it was only 3.
Wait, it was only 3 in this one?
Yep. The first time they met in 3 years. So Shinji was 11 when he got abandoned by Gendo in this one, whereas in the original run, he was abandoned by Gendo as soon as Yui died.
Was he abandoned? I thought the story was that Shinji ran away from home and Gendo just didn't care enough to, like...
Well, no, Gendo put him with friends, essentially.
Okay.
I know, Gendo having friends is a little weird.
No, I don't have issue with Gendo having friends. I have issue with... No, gears are turning, Keith, alright? Let's let this happen.
Save for this question section.
Yeah, so another not interesting, but moment I had a bit of fun with was, so we still have the moment of Toji kicking the shit out of Shinji.
Which the cutting of, people will praise you for this, to immediately getting punched in the face is great.
Yeah. It was a beautiful little cut, because it was one of those things where, in my head, I was like, she's telling him, people are going to praise you, tell you did a really good job. And I enjoyed this cutting compared to the original one, because in the original one it was, people will praise you, you saved the city, you did a good thing. And then it cuts back in time to show the events of the Berserk in the original anime.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it kind of tells it in chronological order, it doesn't jump back in time to show the Berserk happen. So instead it gets to cut straight to Shinji getting punched in the fucking face. It's like, nope, you're not getting praised for this, which was beautiful editing by whoever was responsible for that, or storyboarding, I guess. I had a slight moment where all the other characters are very clearly, if they don't naturally sound like it, they're at least capable of making their voice sound like the appropriate age. Like, Shinji sounds like a little boy. Yeah, Kensuke sounds like a little boy.
Probably a good spot to acknowledge this, too, is this is using the original voice cast from the original dub. The one we watched was the Netflix redub, so it had new voice actors doing it. Probably for the similar reason of you saying, why does Toji sound like a 40-year-old man?
Yeah, because Toji straight up sounds like should be teaching phys ed and not being a part of the classroom.
Yeah, so this one is using the original voice cast. So when we were going through the original run redub that we were doing, that one sounded weird to me, and I'm guessing this one sounds weird to you.
This one sounds weird to me. I'm willing to accept it and move past it, but it absolutely... The one that sounds the weirdest to me is Misato. Every other character, I'm like, I can kind of hear the original character you're supposed to be. Misato sounds just wrong to me. But yeah, Toji beats up a little boy as a 40-year-old man. He's probably been held back a couple decades in elementary school. To
be fair, I think it just works better with our Wise Man Toji theme.
Yeah, it's true. When he becomes Wise Man Toji, it fits a lot better for him to be a 40-year-old man. What was I saying? Oh, right, yes. But another really fun detail I had was when Misato and Ritsuko are talking about this later while they're taking the elevator, and Ritsuko brings up, hey, I heard Shinji got beat up. Isn't he supposed to have a security detail? And Misato pipes up and she's like, he does have a security detail. They just didn't intervene because his life wasn't in danger. Which makes me feel like Gendo explicitly explained to the security detail, if Shinji's about to get his ass kicked, you let that shit happen. It's only if they're going to kill him and take away his ability to pilot that you intervene. But you let him get the shit kicked out of him on a regular basis.
He comes into my NERV house and disrespects me in front of my giant robot.
As far as I know, fucking Toji's little sister wasn't going to get hurt, and then, like, Gendo went up, slapped her around, and, like, went to Toji and was like, hey, just so you know, Shinji did this. You should kick this shit out of Shinji.
Shinji said he'd only pilot the robot if I came in here and slapped your sister around.
This is Shinji's fault, not mine.
I wasn't gonna let the city be destroyed. I'm Gendo Akari, I'm your friend.
I'm your close personal friend, Gendo Akari. You should beat up my son, though.
Shinji wanted me to outspell son that he wants you to beat the shit out of him mercilessly. I don't know why.
Yeah, fuck. So we also get, like, the little bits of Kensuke and Toji having their interactions, with Toji having the slight bit of growth of he kicked the shit out of Shinji, and then from that point onward, when Shinji doesn't act like the hero of the city, Kensuke just keeps turning towards Toji. He's like, you did this. This is your fucking fault right now.
Which is a new fun addition of Kensuke like, hey Toji, you might have killed us all.
Yeah, it might be your fault that we're all about to die. Which, you know, that's cool. I'm into that.
Yep.
I don't know, there were other differences, I'm sure, that aren't coming to mind right now.
I mean, Shamshell has a somewhat different design.
That's right. Shamshell was a lot more centipede-y, I feel like, the first time around, whereas this time he's just kind of like generic insectoid.
Well, no, I think he's more centipede like this one, because he was kind of like just a flat cylinder that glided around in the original.
I'm thinking of a different angel that was more centipede-like, I think. But I don't know. Fuck it. Whatever. I'm sure when we're watching this, I'll realize what angel is the one that's in my head right now. Is the one that killed Ray 2? Is that who I'm thinking of?
That one? That would have been the Armacell one, which is like the Halo.
Right, okay, yeah, no, I don't know what I'm thinking about. Alright.
The only other... So there's two other bug-like ones, I guess. Monorail, which is the spider, and Sandalphon, which was the embryo, which turned into like a... honestly, I don't know what to describe it as. I think you are thinking of Shamshell, but he definitely wasn't centipede-like.
Okay, yeah, no, that's...
Like, he had the markings there, and I think this one kind of brought it out a bit more. It changed his color a little bit.
Yeah, this one made it a bit clearer what I was seeing in my head. Weird how, after this short amount of time... I guess it's not that short. It's been a couple months. But I guess I've embellished some features in my mind. And Shinji exists.
Yeah, this Shinji seems a bit more... Takes less work, I should say, to get him to do things, in a sense. He kind of doubles down a bit earlier on a lot of things.
Yeah. I wonder if this means that... Because, theoretically, based on where we are in the story, one of the next scenes should be, based on the original anime, is him quitting NERV and getting ready to take the train and then not taking the train at the last possible second.
Yeah.
So that, in theory, should be the next plot point to happen. So I'm curious if, because of these differences with Shinji, he's not going to go through with that, or if we're still going to go through with that because Shinji still needs some growth to get to the big dick Shinji who walks into every room dick first.
Our favorite character.
Our favorite, very short-lived character. It takes... That Shinji happens after one angel fight, and by the end of the next angel fight, he's back to being...
Asuka ruined it all for everybody.
Yeah. No, that's a question. I'll save it for when we get to the question period.
I mean, that pretty much wraps up what happened in this episode. So really only had the two angel fights against the fourth and fifth angel, as they're dubbed in this one.
Yeah.
Which is Satchel and Shamshell.
Yep.
So I guess, with that, we'll move into any questions you might have.
Alright, so first off, this is more so a question I probably should have asked, but a question based on stuff that happened in the original series and this one that I theoretically could have asked but didn't think to until watching it through again this time. But when Asuka and Shinji were both in the pilot, inside the cockpit, they had like mental interference that made it hard for them to pilot together. Why does Toji and Kensuke being in there not cause those same difficulties?
So this one, I guess it's kind of easy to explain as at this time Shinji had the headpieces on, those little clip things, which him and Asuka also had when they were in it. So that helps increase your connection with the Evangelion. Okay, yeah, I see how, because the other two were in there, they might have had some connection, but they didn't have the headpieces on, so they couldn't balance Shinji because Shinji had the amplifier. Yeah, also he's in the pilot seat, and they even say that there is interference once they hop in, but it wasn't enough to fully mess up Shinji on it.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that.
And on that topic as well, I guess technically they don't even need to be in the control seat as well. So whoever has the strongest sync rate with the Evangelion kind of takes center, and if all the pilots inside, like everyone inside of it, has a sync rate together, it makes it all that much better because multiple people in unison controlling it. So
I don't think Toji has any sync rate with Shinji yet.
Oh, probably not. but ultimately, the higher your sync rate, you don't actually need the control panels either. But at this point, that's not a non-issue.
Yeah, in theory, if Shinji had reached a 400% sync rate, he wouldn't need to control. He would just think, and the Ava would. Well, if he reached a 400% sync rate, he wouldn't be able to use the controls because his physical body would cease to exist, and he would just become the Ava.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I see that.
Yeah.
What an arbitrary number to aim. 400%. Alright, what else? I had other questions, that you're definitely not allowed to answer.
I mean, you can put them out there.
I can put them. So why is all the water red, Keith? Actually, let me rephrase that question. Is it actually water? Is it just a giant sea of LCL that no one realizes just all water on Earth is now LCL? Is that what's going on?
You have to wait and see.
Yeah, fuck you. That giant T-posing chalk outline on the hill. Is that a dead angel, or is that a different giant being?
I mean, it was a chalk outline on a red hill.
Was it outlining a spot where an angel died?
Who knows? At this point, we certainly don't.
You do.
Oh, I do.
We don't. You do, and you're choosing to make sure that you stays a you and not a we.
I mean, I don't want to spoil things.
I know, I'm just fucking with you. I knew I wasn't gonna get an answer. Oh, fuck, what else? I can hopefully phrase it this way so that it's not a spoiler to them. Is the third angel, in this sense, the one, or at least the first three angels that exist in order to make Sam Shell the fourth angel, are all of them angels that were one of the original 17 angels, and like, have they invented a new angel for this series to throw off the count?
Have they invented a new angel? I'll give you a kind of.
Okay.
And it's something I can't really explain till we get to it. But it will make perfect sense why I'm saying kind of.
Okay. That's it.
Those are all your questions?
Yeah. Actually, no, I have one follow-up question.
Okay.
This is less so a question for me, but I have been reading through some of our Instagram posts, and we have been getting a question fairly often, so I'm asking for the fans on this one.
Oh, okay.
Are you dying?
Yeah. So I guess it's a good time to address this, too, because about 3 weeks ago, this podcast in our Instagram page got really popular. Yeah. So that was a bit unexpected. So we got a lot more interaction. So thank you for people who have been sharing this and started listening. Glad that you're joining in at this point. So naturally, we thought a fun tagline for this show was, it's my last time and Peter's first, because it sounds a lot better than it's Peter's first time and Keith's 11th, 100th time going through
whatever number it is for you.
Or I hold you at gunpoint as I force you to watch the whole Neon Genesis franchise.
Although that would be a much better description of what's going on.
Probably. So it's just a fun tagline to exemplify the fact of how much I've watched it.
Yeah. So, yes, to clarify, Keith is not dying. This is not definitively his last time. He could choose on a whim to watch it
it's
again.
definitely not that I've been cursed with the knowledge of Evangelion, that in order to break the curse, I need to pass it on to somebody else. It's definitely not the case.
Fuck, are you saying in like a decade's time I'm going to have to create a podcast with someone else and force them to go through Evangelion while I explain it all to them?
Who knows?
Well, in a decade's time, look forward to Farewell to Evangelion.
But in that vein of questions, we have a few more questions, and I think moving forward I'd like to use this space to not only have your questions, but also some of the viewer questions. So this one is also through the Instagram page, from Ugly Shinji Nendroid. And this was, I thought, a really good question. If Shinji rejected instrumentality at first, would Misato, Asuka, and the rest of the people who died before NERV instrumentality happened be able to come back to life if he desired? So pretty much he's pointing out the fact that they weren't stored as LCL, and the souls weren't recaptured into Rei. So what would have happened?
Kind of sounds like they just would have died.
So yes and no. So the one thing that I think a lot of people need to understand with human instrumentality, third impact, and all of that power, Shinji had the power to make, essentially, in layman's terms, any wish he wanted. So he could have easily just brought back Lupin back. So if Shinji was in a good enough mind, he still would have been the trigger point for instrumentality, and Rei still would have chose Shinji, based on their connection, to make the final call on what was going to happen. So if he had a better mind, he could have said, bring back all my friends who died. And then it would have happened, and we would just have regular Earth, but everyone back to life. But in this one, because Shinji had that breakdown and rejected humanity, everyone got turned into LCL, but during that instrumentality period, he ended up realizing that that was wrong, and rejected it, which then gave everyone the ability to come back if they want.
I suppose. I feel like if he had just straight up rejected it entirely and rejected the power, then yes, everyone just would.
Yeah, if he decided, I don't want to use this power, put it away. But essentially, everyone being turned to LCL and their souls regathered was not the requirement for them to come back.
Fair. I can understand it that way. It's a matter of, yes, him enacting instrumentality and causing them to all go into LCL form was not the trigger for them to be able to come back. But he would still have to use some form of the power in order for them to be able to come back.
Exactly. Another question I would like to address is from jinko.o at Instagram, and that is, what is Rei made of? Which I thought was a fun question. And I can see where the confusion would be, because she's an angel in a sense, but not exactly. because she's got Lilith's soul. But ultimately, Rey is physically human. She's a Lilith just like everyone else because she's a clone of Yui's body. An interesting thing, but a lot of people do miss, though, is I think it's because Ritsuko was able to destroy all the other Rey clones, is people wondering what she's actually made out of.
Yep.
So, just like all living forms, she is made out of LCL, and she has a soul that's tranced between the bodies. The bodies without the soul, though, are just human husks, essentially.
Yeah.
And they actually need the LCL to remain intact.
Yes.
So what ends happening is because she essentially removes the nourishment that the LCL gives to these uncontrolled bodies that would keep them intact, that's why they break apart. So an unsouled body can only survive for so long without LCL.
I want to jump in real quick with another question of mine that I just remembered. So, sorry to interrupt all of our lovely fans and their questions. So another little detail we got in this episode, to go back, is Shinji remembering the conversation, well, not even remembering, but like becoming aware of the conversation between his father and Yui of, what should we name them? And Gendo being like, Shinji if it's a boy, Rei if it's a girl. That happens a lot earlier in the series than it did in the other one. But we get the extra detail after Gendo brings up the name, Yui starts playing around with how they would sound as a complete name, and she starts off with Shinji Anami and Ayanami and Rei Ikari, and then pivots like, nah, that doesn't sound like Rei Ayanami. Is Ayanami Yui's last name, or why is she just fucking around with that as a potential last name?
I guess we'll have to see, won't we?
Fuck you.
So, let's take one more question that came out in the series, or I guess on the Instagram page. And this one was by Veo.Decepito.96. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And his question was, rebuild someday? Well, do I have some good news for you?
No, never.
We're in it!
We have already started to rebuild!
So yeah, from this point, we're doing the rebuild movies, as is clearly obvious. We'll be breaking them up into multiple episodes, as this is the first half of movie 1. Next episode will be part 2 of that one. For the most part, there will all be 2 episodes. Rebuild 4, being such a big movie in itself, will probably be a few more parts, because also there will probably be more to break down on that.
So, for those of you who are bad at doing the number stuff, that means you can look forward to at least 8 more episodes of Rebuilds. And then, I don't know, Keith will find some way to traumatize me, make me play through a fucking light novel, or read a light novel about this, where all the characters die in the end.
I won't say I don't have plans. So with that, I guess we will go into some fun facts about this part now. So at first, I guess I'll address some of the clearer differences. First one, Ocean's Red. Second one, giant T-posing angel-sized thing, Evangelion-sized thing, whatever you want to put it.
Yep.
Just kind of sitting there, and everything's kind of got that red bloodbath thing on it. When angels explode now, there's rainbows.
Yep, I did notice that.
That's because the angels now seem to fully explode into blood.
Of course.
Interesting change of things here. That means they did not recover Shamshell's core.
Oh, right. Wasn't the recovering Shamshell's core the whole basis for building the MPEs with already having...
with the S2 drives.
With the S2 drives, which they got from studying Shamshell's core?
Yep. The Human Instrumentality Council of the UN doesn't seem to be a thing here, as Gendo just directly interacts with Seele's monoliths.
Yeah. Huh. That is another good point. None of those colored desks anymore.
And I guess this is one I'm surprised you didn't bring up. EVA Unit 1 did not move to protect Shinji from debris.
Oh, you're right. I completely missed that. It was one of those things where I guess I kind of zoned out, because I just, like, if you had have asked me if EVA Unit 1 moved to protect Shinji before a minute ago, I would have just reflexively said yes, because in my mind that would have happened. That's weird that that didn't happen.
Now, this could be in relation to the fact that the cage is a bit different for this one, whereas in the original run, it's all inside the cage with the clamps around it, whereas this one, it seems the torso's in the cage and the arms are locked into the cage itself.
Yeah. Gears are turning, Keith. Gears are turning.
So those are some of the fun differences to things that have happened within the story so far. Oh, obviously we already addressed the fact that Satchel is now the fourth.
Yep.
And this one's more of a fun thing about the franchise itself. We're referring to it as Rebuild, but Rebuild isn't the official name of it.
What's the official
It's just
name?
Evangelion.
Oh, okay.
When the project first started, Anno referred to it as a rebuild of Evangelion, and that kind of just stuck, so everyone refers to it as Rebuild of Evangelion, even though it's not anywhere as officially the title.
That's a shame, because I had one of those fun title moments in the episode when one of the characters was like, we need this to be able to start to rebuild, and they said that, and I was like, they're referencing the title.
Yeah, it's just Shin Evangelion in Japan.
What are they rebuilding? Because they made a point about how they have to... I guess they could be rebuilding after the second impact. But unless... Did we also get one of those, like, timestamps of, like, it's been 10 years since the first impact or something, like we did the first time around?
Was not mentioned, but I will confirm for you that second impact still happened at the same point.
Okay.
We are, like, timeline-wise, 2000 was when the second impact happened, and we're currently in 2015.
Okay. We're in 2015?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the time's the exact same as the original.
Okay. Yeah, okay. We'll
I'm not trying to swindle you on anything.
No, you've got tricks here, I can tell.
And I guess the big thing is, at this point, Gainax is not the one controlling the production, it's Studio Kara, which was a production company started specifically by Anno.
So he has perhaps more creative control over this.
I think he has the exact same creative control as he had before.
That's fair, yeah. I don't think anyone at Gainax was telling him no to play something.
Yeah. Well, he's also one of the founders of Gainax.
Yeah. Alright then.
So, overall, what are your thoughts on the first half of Rebuild 1?
Confusion. That's my thoughts, because Alright, so I enjoy it. I am enjoying what I'm seeing so far. I am confused about the differences and want to see the reasons for said differences.
That's fair.
I'm not going to see them for like 3 movies, aren't I? 2.5.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be forward with you on this part. There's more differences you're going to see.
Of course.
What they mean is up for you to determine until the answers arrive.
Of course, yep. Yeah, no, I like it. I enjoy it.
Yeah, and...
I didn't even have to wait like a decade to get it.
Yep. Lucky you.
Lucky me!
I had to wait a decade for Rebuild to come out, and then I had to wait a decade for Rebuild to finish.
Yeah. I get to wait like 8 weeks-ish?
Roughly. But yeah, I also really enjoy Rebuild of Evangelion. Just like I mentioned before with End of Evangelion in the original run, there's a lot of conflict within the fan base about their thoughts on certain things where people are like, Rebuild sucks, it's all about the end of Evangelion.
Yeah.
But, again, Neon Genesis as a whole, all the aspects of it are kind of required together to get, like, the big part of it, I would say.
Fair enough.
You can enjoy any individual part on its own for its own merits, but I think the series and the franchise as a whole just only benefits from all of them being together.
Yeah, no, I can see that. That would make sense.
Yeah. And that's my non-spoiler way of talking about it for now.
I hate you.
So with that, I guess we'll start to wrap up this episode. So if you would like, you can follow us on all podcast platforms. You can subscribe, write a review, pass it on to a friend. That'd be very helpful. We also have a YouTube channel. Both those have episodes up every Wednesday. And of course, you can also follow us on the Instagram page. We've had a lot of increased activity there. Please join us, interact with the community, vote on the polls, and all of the fun stuff. We do try to interact and respond as quickly as we can for most questions, if they're able to. If you'd like to email us or have any questions that you'd like to ask there, you can send an email to whatismypodcastabout@gmail.com. And of course, as always, well, except for, I guess, the last 2 episodes, Peter, what can we expect next time on Neon Genesis Evangelion?
Alright, here we go. So, we're going to finish up Rebuild 1.11 or Evangelion 1.11, whatever the fuck you want to call it. We're going to find the third angel, who, with no frame of reference for what it is, I'm going to compare it mostly to Kaoru, so I'm just going to call it Kaoru. We're going to find Kaoru, the third angel, and he's going to be hanging out with a moon that's not the white moon or the black moon, and they're just going to throw more fucking mysteries at us.
Well, make sure to tune in next time, and on Planet there'll be plenty of fan service.